This is Perspectivas Latinas, a community service of CAN TV. I'm Juan Carlos Hernandez. In many neighborhoods, violence is a sad reality that leaves us full of questions and often despair. However, there is hope. Our guests are here to talk about some of the answers they're building in the community through the Neighborhood Peace Project. Welcome, and thanks for being here.
Thank you for inviting us.
Our first guest is Henry Cervantes. You're with the Resurrection Project, right?
Yeah.
Well, tell us about how you're involved in these efforts for peace.
Sure. So, again, my name is Henry Cervantes. I serve as a community organizer at the Resurrection Project. And my job is to work on addressing safety issues in the community. And so there's different components to what we do. We do trainings, we train leaders, we organize and mobilize the community, and we try to figure out a way to work with young people to bring youth in. And so that's part of my role there. I've been at the Resurrection Project close to a year now.
Okay.
And I have a strong passion for addressing, community violence issues in the city of Chicago. It's a big issue, and I believe much more can be done to address the problem directly, as opposed to indirectly.
Okay, we'll certainly get into what you mean by that. Okay, our second guest today is Dolores Castañeda. Welcome.
Oh, thank you.
And tell us about yourself and how you're involved in these efforts for peace.
Because I live in Little Village when we had a lot of crime in my community. At some point, we tired to see these young people die in the streets. And my daughter was affected for violence in the streets. And a lot of mothers in the neighborhood, they affected for that. And we thinking, another lady, Doris Hernandez, helped me to make a program to promote the peace, and we call Padres Ángeles.
How long ago did you start this group?
Probably like close to 2 years now.
Okay.
And
how was? And you said your daughter was affected, right?
Yeah.
What happened with your daughter?
When she was 15, she was gunshot.
She was gunshot.
And she's almost died, but thank God she's with me right now. But right now she's working in her doctor degree and she has 2 masters. But to live in the community and growing families in Little Village is so difficult. Because sometimes when somebody dies in the street, always blame the parents. What kind of parents they have? But sometimes we need support for the whole community. We don't have program for the children. We don't have parks. We don't have nothing for these young children. And of course, when the parents going to work, they spend time in the street.
Okay, and yeah, it's actually surprising that communities like Little Village, where it's a high concentration of young people, right, don't have more resources. Is this how the Resurrection Project and Padres Ángeles are working together to bring more resources? What exactly led to well, we kind of heard the inspiration for her, but what did the Resurrection Project see, and how did it want to respond by collaborating with groups like this, Henry?
So the Resurrection Project works in predominantly Latino communities. We have programs and services and organizing happening in the Pilsen, Little Village, and the Back of the Yards neighborhood. And we started from parishes. We began with 6 parishes back in 1990. This year we turned 25 years old, and we always challenge ourselves to remain true to where we started. We started from the parishes. We started from community leaders. And so the issue that has always been at the forefront for our communities has been safety, has been violence. It's a problem that still needs to be addressed. And
just during your introduction, you said it's something that needs to be addressed directly rather than indirectly. What does that mean?
Well, we have to look at the issue of violence differently. We know that in the city, there's been too many programs addressing the issue of violence, but still we have a crime rate, we have a homicide rate that's through the roof. And so I think that we have to address the issue differently. And what I meant by directly addressing the issue is learning from what the parents and the parishioners at St. Agnes are doing. They're out there talking to young men that are out in the street corners.
Yeah,
Okay.
and
Tell me about that.
and the night we go out, and
At night?
In the night, we go out and speak to the leaders, because we had two games there, and we speak to them or speak to young people what you doing in the street. You know, what is you? Because I apply a questionnaire to them, and I asking one question: what you wanna do in life? And a lot of young children told me, well, I want to be a doctor, I want to be a teacher. But I said, what are you afraid about it to be killed any moment? It's very sad to hear this kind of answers from there, because they always constantly be afraid to be killed. And we try to go and pray with them and try to encourage to come to us and to our group, because in that group we had topics about how to helping the children with values. We had the parents in that group, and how to deal when they had problems at home. And we had psychologists, therapists. A lot of people come to the group and speak to the parents, and we do it twice a month. I'm sorry.
Twice a month.
Twice a month.
So, if I'm understanding you correctly, this group from St. Agnes in Little Village, Padres Ángeles, gathers, and you go out into the streets at night during the entire year, and you go and talk to people, to young people, and what do they tell you? How do they respond? Because I would be like,
we talking about God, and we told them we respect them, doesn't matter what. We not just, you know, we not say, oh, what kind of person you are. We just see them like a human being. And they not say nothing back to us. They say, yeah, we understand what you say. You know, we try to then to pull these young people out from the street.
Okay, and you pull them out, and you say you offer what, counseling, talks? Where this is all at St. Agnes?
Yeah, St. Agnes.
Okay. But I guess before the show we were talking, you don't have to belong to the church, right, or be religious necessarily to come in, right?
Any religion is open. We're not asking you need to be Catholic. Anyone can come, because anyone in the community or in different communities, they're welcome to come to us. Okay. Anyone.
Okay, great. And that's some courage, I think, to go out into the streets and talk to people. Henry, where does this courage come from? Is there training, or are there principles behind this work?
Well, I think for a lot of people in our communities, it's experience that teaches our people, you know, how to persevere. I think it's that personal experience. We have many parents in our communities who have unfortunately been hurt by this problem, and you know, I think what's important here is that they're persistent, and they're approaching the issue as an opportunity to invite young people to be a part of the positive life of our communities, right? And to really show them an alternative. Many projects, initiatives, programs are really focused on what they call anti-violence, stop the violence, put the guns down. But that never works.
Like ceasefire, right?
What works is you provide the person with opportunities to constructively harness that anger. Okay. You know, so I think Padres Ángeles' model is really important, because they invite young people to get involved. They get, you know, they invite them. They're not telling them you're wrong, but they're inviting them to be a part of something, and to really question their purpose, their future, and see their role in the community, and exercise leadership in a positive way. You know, and that's kind of like the window, right? We want to engage young people. There's nothing wrong with young people being proud of where they're from. Right. It's how they express it. They can express that negatively through violence, or constructively through peacemaking, through nonviolence, through a different lifestyle. Okay. But
Dolores, you were going to say?
And the other thing, we going to funeral when somebody die. We support the moms to that situation, and we pray together with young people in the streets, different games. We going to different places. When somebody die in the street, we always there.
You're always there.
Yeah, we always there, and we bring a candle, we bring a flower, or we bring something, prayer from them. We hugging them and say we love them. Doesn't matter what.
So you stand by. Not only are you trying to prevent the violence by bringing young people in, as you and Henry were describing, but if something does happen, you also.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
But that way we know the priest told us somebody's be killed or somebody's in the hospital almost to time for leave to die, and we went to the hospital, and the beautiful experience. My friend Doris, who is Padres Ángeles too, her son was killed 2 years ago, and we living in this side with this game, but the other game killed him, and we went because they kill a boy the other side, and we start hugging everybody, and she whispered in my ears. She say, probably one and this one killed my son, but doesn't matter. I forget about it. You know, she is still hugging and forgiving about his son be killed. And that thing she do through poetry, she express what all the things happen in the community.
Wow, it sounds like it's a very human effort, like because it's not this. It doesn't seem like a political or educational model that a lot of people follow, but something that gets down to the very personal spaces of actually reaching out to people in the very core of their heart.
The thing is, because in some point I feel in my heart is something had to be happen there. And my community is like 94,000 people live in a little village.
That's a lot of people.
We had only one park.
One park in Little Village for 94,000 people.
And then a small, like another 3 playgrounds, little ones for little ones, and then the mayor building another park, but it's only field for basketball and everything. And he asked me, what do you think about the new park? I said, this is not park.
The mayor asked you?
Yeah, because I know that I always go to where these people are, just to see what they're doing. And I told him, this is not a park. We need more than that. We need a community center here. When we bring children, they can be exposed in painting, music, and they have good mentors. And we can have these children in safe place until the parents go to work. We can take care of the children and helping the parents that way.
Okay, wow. So you're challenging people in power to do more. Before the program started, we were also talking a little bit about and that's what I wanted to get to when I asked you last time. But you were talking about other things, which is fine. But tell me about the gospel of nonviolence, because you said that a lot of this comes through that, and you go out and train people. Tell me about how that came to be in this program, and how you work with that, please.
Sure. So people who act violently, that's the only way they know how to solve their issues, their problems. People who are violent, have violent lifestyles, that's the best way that they think they're able to face their challenges.
And what do you mean by violence? Does violence mean hitting somebody or using strong words or disrespect? What does that mean?
It's all the 8 different forms, right? Beginning with physical, psychological, emotional, spiritual, cultural, financial, neglect. I mean, there's different forms of violence that we see every day in our communities. The one that gets most of the attention is the physical violence, right? Domestic issues, shootings in the street, fights in school. And what we're trying to do with the parishes is we're trying to engage young people in learning how to deal with disputes differently. Either, naturally human beings, when they're confronted with a problem or with a threat, they either fight or they flee. What we're trying to offer is an alternative way to deal with the issues head on, but to deal with them very strategically, and that's where the nonviolence comes in. We've been offering courses on gospel nonviolence in Pilsen and Little Village, and we've had people from the parishes come. We've also had young people who are not associated with the church, people who are not associated with a nonprofit organization to come and say, I want to know about what this is about.
Yeah, because I was going to tell you, like, what if I'm not all churchy, or I'm praying all the time, or I mean, and I really don't even care about that. I mean, what does that mean for somebody like me that came in and thought that way? I mean, how could they become part of that gospel nonviolence, or that training, or that work?
Sure.
I know she touched on that.
Yeah.
How
Sure.
they include
I
people.
take that class, Henry. I really love it. But the way he put Gandhi, he put another
Oh, Gandhi.
Martin Luther King. You know, they good leaders, and they promote the peace, because we do a marching for peace in that community. We organize that. We get together with a lot of people and marching for peace in our community. And like El Día del Niño, we had 400 children in the community marching for peace. We organized that. We organized the Del Día de la Mother's Day, and we have almost 500 people there for Mother's Day. And we try to encourage peace, forgive, and not be like for example, when somebody dies, we always encourage the young people who's there, don't get and kill another one. Just pray to God and don't do it, because you see moms has a lot of pain now for the situation, and we don't want to another person happen to.
Okay. Yeah, my question is still, so what happens in the trainings? I know that they are based in the gospel, but so what do you bring out from those writings, from those ideas?
Sure. So we offer the trainings in a series of trainings, and what we do is we learn from the scriptures on how do we deal with an aggressor. How do we respond to someone who is oppressing us? How do we respond to somebody who doesn't like us? How do we deal with people who are violent? And we use we read the scriptures, you know, because I mean they have the answer. I mean everything is in there. So Gandhi read the scriptures, read the Gospels. Dr. King read the Gospels. What they were able to do was apply the teaching in the society. You know, and that's what we have to do. We have to apply the teaching in the society.
So, like Dolores is saying, that they're applying the teaching by reaching out to people, by reaching out to young people, to parents who have lost children. How else do you do it? Do you have like a specific program after these trainings for young people at the parishes, or is it like Dolores has been describing? It's essentially parents reaching out to young people and parents who have lost children. Is there something else?
Sure. Well, the way that we set it up is each course is provided with an introduction to what gospel nonviolence is and what the purpose is to train us and to be peacemakers and nonviolent practitioners. We look at the teachings, the particular teachings in the gospel, and what the practices that followers are expected to do. So the teaching, the practice, and then the fourth one is the call to action. How can we take the teaching and implement it in our communities? The example of Dolores and Doris forgiving, having the courage to forgive their perpetrators is exactly what Scripture tells us to do, to forgive people who are, and pray for people who are against us, people who have harmed us. That's the thing that we're trying to do, is to apply the teaching into practice. And peacemaking, peace means a lot of things to different people. For us, is compassion, is forgiveness, and you know, following you know, our hearts and really making our communities a better place. Because I believe that people who are out there committing violence, they want to feel safe too. The thing is that they don't know how to do that. How do they practice that? They don't know. No one's ever taught them. No one's invited them to say, hey, here's an alternative way for you to deal with your problems or with your issues.
It sounds also like I don't know if you haven't said it yet, but it sounds like part of what you do is restorative justice. Is that part of the gospel of nonviolence and these trainings as well?
Yeah, there's components there that are very, have that philosophy of restoring relationships, right? So
tell me, because he mentioned it, how did you come to you, Dolores, in your own journey of forgiving and working for peace after your daughter was shot? How did you work through that? How did you find answers through other people, through your church, through programs like this from the Resurrection Project?
Because for me, I always pray to God to help me with all the issues. But I love people, I love my community, and my heart is with them. And something like that happened, bother me, and I say we need to do something to promote peace, like Henry bring that to us, ¿cómo se dice taller?
The workshops?
Yeah, the workshops. And it's very helpful for me, because that way you realize a lot when you hear that, and healing a lot. You know, when you hear like you need to love your neighbor, like God say, go love God with all your heart and love your neighbor. When you love your neighbor, you not hurt your neighbor. You want the best for your neighbor, and this is my way I thinking. I love my neighbor and I want the best for anyone. And this is the reason even these young children who's in this situation, I love them, doesn't matter what, but I try to, do something with their lives. Yeah.
I'm sure both of you have come up, have found opposition to the way you work, because so much of the mentality in our culture is if somebody commits a crime or if something's wrong in the community or does something wrong, they should be punished. How do you answer somebody say, well, my son or daughter was hurt, or my son or daughter was killed, or one of my relatives or a friend was hurt or killed? What do you mean? What is this forgiveness thing? They should rot in jail. They should never have the opportunity for parole or to make a life. I mean, those are real questions I'm sure that you've encountered.
The thing is, when something happens and that people is not ready to forgive, we let a situation like that. Yes, we pray for you, or let's pray together. But we're not pushing nobody to forgive.
And what if they tell you, I don't pray, I don't believe in God?
But the only thing I say, I pray for you. That's fine.
Okay.
You know, you always say my prayers, and I send notes or call that person. I thinking in you, and in case you need me, just call me. And sometimes they call me back. Oh yeah, I need you. Can you pray that rosary with me, or can you pray for me because I not feel right? Or sometimes they ask me to call like a psychology or therapist to help the family, and I refer this family to places like that.
Yeah, because that's certainly quite a challenge. Something that I'm sure is very difficult to deal with. You know, having gone some of those individuals or families having gone through a loss. How do they deal with it? There's so much resentment and anger and hurt that they have to deal with, and it sounds like they would need professional help. So how have you responded in those circumstances where people said, you know, this is just idealistic. You're not going to solve any problems this way. I'm sure you've encountered some of those questions.
Yeah, all the time. And I think, well, I try not to get caught up too much on with that. I think everybody has a different point of view, and I mean, any opposition I've come across, I just, I respect the way they see things. I don't agree with it, but I respect it. And they have a complete right to think the way they think. That's cool. That doesn't affect me. I just want to carry on what I think my calling in life is, which is to improve our communities, to help mold and shape young people so that that they're proud of where they come from, and to, live in a safe and have a great quality of life, and I think that's what we're trying to do, right? We're not trying to fight anybody. We're just trying to make our communities better.
Right. And my question isn't necessarily about fighting anybody, but in any with any problems like this, dealing with community and how faith and other questions of politics and social problems comes up, you know, there's always, it seems to be that there's always questions, or at least what appears to be conflicts. One of my final questions is, so what's your vision for this work for peace going forward? Because you told me about what's inspired it, what's going on, and what you're doing. What do you hope to achieve through this work? Dolores, we'll start with you.
I like to see a community center.
Community center.
This is my vision.
In Little Village.
In Little Village. And I always put in the heart in a lot of people to see the vision, and a lot of people start to see the vision to have a community center in Little Village.
Okay. And you, Henry, what's your vision?
To broaden consciousness with young people in our communities, and to educate them on how to, you know, problem solve without having to harm somebody else. People can solve their problems without having to harm somebody. That's a skill that we need to teach in schools, at churches, on the street. Because if people were able to do that, then we would see the levels of violence go down, you know? And again, it's with the teaching and the practice. Peacemaking is hard. It's much harder than violence. It takes more courage. And
why do you say that?
Because people would dismiss peace as something that doesn't work. How can you dismiss something you haven't tried? Right? How can you say that doesn't work if you've never done it? So that's why I say we have to broaden consciousness, we have to teach, and we have to practice together to improve our communities. Otherwise, the problems will stay, you know, unresolved. You know, it's the teaching and the practice that makes communities better. We have to instill the values and train our young people to deal with things without having to commit homicide as a way to prove that they disagree.
Right. And well, like you said, that those ideas, but also practical things like a community center.
I think the answer is love. Just love everybody.
Well, that's a great note to end. Thank you so much for coming out to
No
share
problem.
just a bit about all the work you're doing, and good luck with everything.
Cool.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us on.
And to you, thank you for joining us. Perspectivas Latinas is a community service of CAN TV. If your nonprofit organization would like to work with CAN TV, call 312-738-1400 and ask for nonprofit services. Tune in to Perspectivas Latinas for local issues and concerns every Thursday at 8:30 p.m. on CAN TV 21. I'm Juan Carlos Hernandez. Thank you for joining us.